If you don't have time to grind and you want to buy a stacked account in 2K with max badges, a nice record, and a high overall, hit up sportstnb.com. The link is on the screen, and you can find the link in both the comment section and in the description. Aw shit, we're like barely a week through the season. The Timberwolves are one of the only undefeated teams left in the NBA, and people are already talking. So that can only mean one thing. We have some amazing and well thought out season takes. Let's jump into them. The Warriors will miss the playoffs. Man, it didn't take more than 2 terrible performances for people to just go ahead and slide them out of the Western Conference, but I understand it. Again, in the West, you could literally have 50 wins and still be on the outside looking in. And through the first 2 games of the season, and not even just the games, but looking at the roster, let's just say you don't see 50 wins, right? They got rookies, G Leaguers, but maybe they'll be okay because apparently Amari Spellman went and bought some VC after what happened in that OKC game. Westbrook will get his second MVP. You know, never in a million years did I think another Westbrook MVP would even be on the table with him playing with James Harden. But in this extremely tiny sample size, he hasn't let that stop him. He's still pretty much averaging a triple-double, 24, 13, and 10. That's with rounding, but if the last few years are any indication, he could end up hanging around that. And they might need him to, with James Harden shooting like 5% total for these last 3 games. The Suns will be an 8th seed. You know what? I am not going to hype on the Phoenix hype train just yet. I'm not there. I get it. They are surpassing people's expectations and they are a very pleasant surprise, especially with what just happened to DeAndre Ayton. And yeah, they actually do have a better roster than the last few years. I think a lot of us ignored that they actually picked up some decent players this summer, including a real point guard, which was supposed to really help DeAndre Ayton, but he's going to be gone a third of the season. Yeah, they're in every game they're playing right now. They've played everybody competitively and close, but competitively and close is still not always good enough for the Western Conference, so even if the Suns end up being in that playoff hunt, I don't see them as an A seed. If anybody is going to replace the Warriors, I think it's going to be the Mavericks, and then after that, I think you're likely to end up with the same 7 teams from last year. So the Suns may be competitive. Maybe Devin Booker isn't just going to be running up back and forth doing cardio all year. Thank God his talent will actually be put to use if the trend continues, but unless we have another team follow the Warriors out of the playoffs, I think it's just going to be the Mavericks replacing them. The Heat will make the conference finals. Man, I'll tell you what, there is a lot of positive things going on in Miami aside from the plethora of Instagram models and money and Lambos. That's besides the point. We can start with the fact that Dion Waiters has not seen any kind of burn yet. He was suspended for the first game, and I didn't hear about a suspension past that, yet he has not played in any of the Miami games this season. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they have rookie Tyler Hero and then undrafted rookie Kendrick Nunn. He's come out and actually done better than Tyler Hero so far. So they have a lot of good wing players, they have a lot of good depth, and they are going to get Jimmy Butler back tonight. So I slapped them at the 4th seed. That's where I had them in my predictions. And we'll see how things open up in the Eastern Conference because it's still extremely early, but I've watched a couple of Sixers games, and especially last night, their shooting, it's questionable sometimes. The shooting is very questionable. I don't see Ben Simmons spreading the floor yet. He has not attempted a 3-pointer. Didn't really come in expecting that, but I was hopeful that I would see something different. But we'll just see because I'm under the impression that the Bucks are still going to be the Bucks. And then I thought the Sixers will have it figured out by the end of the season to get that 2nd seed and be the 2nd best team in the East. But if they're not, then it's literally just open to anybody. Because after that, it's just a lot of teams without a lot of expectations. So if the conference finals does not turn out to be the Bucks and Heat, then it's literally open to anybody for that 2nd slot. Well, not totally. I don't see the Pistons there or anything, but within reason. I'm not fully sold on how PG is going to fit with the Clippers team. I gotta see it to believe it. Ooh, scathing. No, I don't think this is the same thing as Houston. When I see Westbrook and Harden on the floor together, I still think they're figuring it out. There's times when James Harden is just dribbling and Westbrook has no use on the floor. However, when you have Westbrook and Harden running their own unit, I think it works a lot better. But still, they're going to be on the floor a lot together, I would assume, especially finishing games. So I still think they have a lot to figure it out. That's where I was saying I got to see that to believe it. And so far, I still want to see more. Yeah, with PG and Kawhi, I don't really know what you need to believe to see, honestly. You can look in past seasons and plays that were ran for both of them and the tendencies, and it just fits. Certain players just fit. Yeah, they still have to go on the court and prove it, I guess. They got to go get wins together. But as far as their play styles, there's nothing that says PG wouldn't fit with Kawhi. Their play style doesn't step on each other's toes at all. And strategically, they're going to give each other more space to operate. And so that's why I said I needed to see Westbrook and Harden to believe it, because still, when Westbrook is standing in the corner and you have Harden dribbling around, Westbrook doesn't really provide space for him consistently. And I think you're going to see teams try to take advantage of that more and more, because you want Westbrook shooting threes over anything. But I saw at the end of the game last night, it seemed like they were letting Westbrook get a little bit of point guard in, and that might end up making more sense. OG Anunoby will be the most improved player. He's shown solid improvement in his shot and offense while being a defensive stud. In my opinion, he could average 15 and 8 for the season. Yeah, most improved player is going to be interesting this year. I think there are a couple of other candidates that might stick out more. So far, Brandon Ingram is doing a lot, but his team, the Pelicans without Zion, I'm not sure how much they're going to be winning. But still, I don't think most improved player really relies on that as much as like an MVP does. I would even throw Trae Young out there. He's on a hot streak right now, but I can already tell you, like, at this specific moment, he's a lot better than he was last year. He was good last year, especially towards the end, but he's legitimately looking like he could be an all-star. It looks like he's taking a major step forward in a year or two. So yeah, this is why this video is called Way Too Early Unpopular Opinions, because there's literally no way to tell any of this through 3 games. But yeah, that's going to be an interesting race. Speaking of Trae Young, the Hawks will make the playoffs and Trae Young will become an all-star. I'm only 50% there. I could see the all-star thing, but I think, like you see when the Hawks played the Sixers last night, I think as they play better teams throughout the season, I think their record is going to end up getting pretty beat up compared to some of the teams that I already have in the Eastern Conference playoffs. But Trae Young himself, yeah, all-star is totally doable. If they get both of those, I will just stand corrected. RJ is the best from the class. Ooh, yeah, you got some tough competition there. RJ is really, really nice. I have no idea how he plays in New York, yet he's not getting any burn from the media, at least from what I've seen. I don't see people talking about RJ the way you think a good New York rookie would be talked about. But anyways, yeah, I'm assuming this tweet is made with the idea that Zion isn't going to be playing for a while if he plays this season. So if we're going sans Zion, I still think you might look at Ja Morant. Ja went toe-to-toe with Kyrie Irving in his first matchup and came out on top. Had that defensive stop at the end, and in that game he looked like a veteran. But yeah, let's let this play out again. It's only been a couple of games, and again, if you guys are not catching Knicks games just because, oh, I'm not watching the Knicks, neck yourself. They got some decent players this year, and RJ is really, really nice. LeBron won't be a top 3 player by the end of the season. Goddamn, that one is not as crazy as it sounds. LeBron's name carries that weight because he's been great for so long and he's been on top for so long. But the reason that's not as crazy is because something like the Hornets game the other night, right? The Lakers really let Anthony Davis take everything he needed there. In the first game against the Clippers, they were going to Anthony Davis. So in this very small sample size we already see what we've been saying all summer, is that the Lakers are mostly going to be trying to play through AD, especially for stretches that LeBron is on the bench. And so you might get some results like you got in the Clippers and the Hornets game, where LeBron is really not scoring that much, and he's just not the focal point throughout the season. And with that, if he's averaging like in the low 20 points per game, you might see him in the rankings get overtaken by some players that obviously are not really better than LeBron James, but because of the way they're playing him through the season, he might fall out of that top 3 ranking. It could happen. And that wouldn't even mean he's not top 5. You could end up with a ranking that has Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, and then another guy above LeBron because they're all playing different roles. That has a lot to do with it. And the Lakers, they're going for a title this year. They're trying to go far. LeBron is going to be like, what, 35 years old? So they really might not have him trying to play that best player in the NBA thing all season, especially with AD on the team. This is not a slight to LeBron. This is just about roles, and it could happen. And because I've explained it that way, hopefully you're not confusing this with the whole LeBron is washed movement that started after one game. No, we're not being foolish here. Cat is going to be MVP. Well, so far he's putting up MVP numbers and the Wolves are undefeated, but that's through 3 games. You want to hear some real crazy shit? It's the fact that Wiggins right now after I just made that video about players who hadn't reached their star projections, he's showing that kind of trend in these first few games. Now that would be some shit if Wiggins became an all-star and the Wolves were actually good this year. And I only bring that up because the Wolves would have to be good for Cat to win MVP, otherwise it's just going to be like an Anthony Davis Pell situation where you put up crazy numbers but you're never going to win MVP if you're only like, 35, 40 wins. But hey, that's why we call this way too early. Let's see what actually happens with the Wolves. Let's see if the entire NBA Twitter population has to take an L on Andrew Wiggins. That would be something. Goran Dragic will snatch 6th Man of the Year from Lou. I think if anybody takes it from Lou, which would be really hard considering how he actually plays 6 man, but if anybody did, D Rose is right there, because if it wasn't for his health scares, I think he'd be starting right now. So he's really in that same situation as Lou where you're pretty much starter talent, but you're coming off the bench. And it's only been a few games with D Rose, but so far you've seen a 30-point performance, I think more than one actually. And then the game-winning layup or the go-ahead bucket against the Pacers last night. He's had a really good 4 games so far. So I remember last year with the Wolves, he said that was his new career goal, aside from a championship, was 6th Man of the Year, and with health, I think D Rose is right there. And last but not least, RJ Barrett is already better than Jason Tatum. Hey there, Trevor, you know what you should do? You should come through to my Twitch chat so I can just ban you on the spot. I'm talking about one of those permanent bans, not a timeout, perma ban. Yeah, I figured I'd throw this shameless plug in here because somehow people come into my Twitch chat and say I didn't know you were streaming, even though I put it out on every social media platform I own, and I probably mentioned it in videos multiple times. But hey, if you're at this part of the video, now you know. And today, I think I'm going to be streaming around 4 or 5 p.m. Eastern, so the plan is to have this video out before then. And if you want to come into the Twitch chat where we have way too much fun, probably cross a few lines, just go ahead and follow in the link in the comment section and description, twitch.tv/dom_2k. Also, make sure to follow my Twitter because that is where I source most of these unpopular opinions from, so if you want to have a chance to be featured in one of these videos, make sure to follow me there. You'll see the Batman signal whenever one of these comes out, and also hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed. And don't forget to hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.